Last year, I made over $1 million in my business. And in this video, I want to share the 3 biggest lessons I learned so you can get to your first $1 million year faster with fewer mistakes than I made. And just to show you that I'm not chatting nonsense, here's my Stripe account. And if I change this to be from the 1st of January 2025 all the way to the 31st of December 2025, you'll see over $1 million. And so none of this is theory. This is stuff I learned the hard way while actually running a business. So let's get into it. The first lesson and the most important one is this. Retention forgives all. Retention gives you safety. It gives you breathing room. It gives you margin for error. Because I see so many agency owners building businesses around one-time sales, whether that's like a one-time website build, a one-time funnel build, CRM setup, some sort of creative setup. And look, some people make that work. That business model can work, but personally, I hate it because with a one-time model, every single month, you start from zero. It doesn't matter if you did $50,000 last month or $500,000 last month. The second a new month starts, you're back at square one. And that's a dangerous place to be when ads stop converting, funnels break, accounts get restricted, or marketing just messes up, especially if you've got payroll, software subscriptions, and fixed costs that don't stop. I know that some people will have like white label contractors and things like that. They only pay per project. Obviously, stuff like that doesn't really matter because if it's paid per project, then you don't have to worry about it because if you don't get the project, then you don't have to pay them, right? But if you've got any fixed costs like fixed salaries and things like that, then they still continue every month. And that's why I'll always prefer a retainer-based business model because even in a slow month, you're still making revenue from day one, right? That changes how you operate as a founder. Now, obviously, you still need a good product that gets results, right? That's like the biggest thing for retention. But retention is more than just making the product better and getting better results. It's about making the business actually hard to leave. So the question you should always be asking is, what happens if someone tries to cancel? So with my product, Call Center Mastery, it's an info product that teaches agency owners how to get better results for their clients with in-house callers. But the problem is, it's information, right? And so information alone doesn't retain people forever. Once someone learns the thing, there's also no reason to stay paying to learn the thing because they already know the thing, right? So instead of endlessly trying to add more content and just trying to make updates all the time, we focused on adding reasons to stay. So the first layer of that was actually building our own internal software. A lot of what I teach inside Call Center Mastery is powered by our own make apps and internal systems. So when someone joins, they're not just buying the knowledge, they're actually getting access to tools that make their whole call center operation so much easier to run. And so if they leave, they don't just lose access to the information and the coaching, they now lose access to their infrastructure. That's where retention really gets sticky because if an agency is using your software and using a bunch of other stuff you've built out for them and you've taught them how to use all this stuff, and obviously it needs to make their whole call center better, it needs to make their whole product better, their whole business better, right? If it doesn't do that, they won't use the tools, right? But as long as the tools are actually useful and they make their whole system way more efficient, then it makes it really hard for them to leave because if they leave, they lose access to all them tools which they're so reliant on now. And so obviously there's only so much software that my team can build out. We're not actually a SaaS, we're not a software development company, right? And so the next step is finding softwares that are already out there that my community need and partnering with those softwares. So for example, one of those softwares is called LinkBlue, right? So LinkBlue is a messaging software that allows you to send iMessages directly inside a Go High Level and send automated SMSs, voice recording, GIFs, videos, all through iMessage, all through the Go High Level workflows. And so if you go to LinkBlue directly, you're paying roughly a $500 activation fee per number. And then you got to pay $200 per month per number as well ongoing. But because we have predictable volume, we are able to bulk buy those licenses from LinkBlue. So we pay up front and we take on all that risk. And because of this partnership I made, Call Center Mastery members get LinkBlue for just $150 per month with no activation fee, right? And so Call Center Mastery costs $497 a month ongoing. And so if someone just signs one client per month onto LinkBlue and they need one number, they've already offset the whole Call Center Mastery membership cost for that 1 month, right? Now, if they set up, let's say numbers for 2 or 3 clients, they're actually making money by staying inside of Call Center Mastery. And at that point, canceling doesn't make sense. They're actually making more money by being in Call Center Mastery than what Call Center Mastery costs, right? And that's not including any of the coaching and all the updates and all the other stuff we throw in there, right? Just that one partnership alone pays for everything and actually saves them money, and everything else is just gravy on top, right? And there are situations where we actually charge members less than what the software costs us to actually give to them, right? We actually lose money on that tool on purpose because we know that keeping someone in the program for longer is worth far more than making a small profit on every specific software that we partner with. Another piece of retention people overlook is friction. And a perfect example of this is First Orion. So First Orion is a company that actually helps brand phone calls, right? So if you've got a phone number for your client, you can put like the client's logo on the thing, you can put the client's name. So when someone actually phones up that lead, it will come up with their branding, it'll come up with their name. And they also reduce spam labeling. Because First Orion vets everyone they work with, they know that you're not like trying to scam people or anything like that. And so they basically tell the carriers every single day, hey, if you've got any spam tags on these numbers, please remove them because we know they're not spamming people, that this is a real agency, a real company, right? But if you're an agency that wants to work with First Orion directly, it can actually be really painful. You have to jump through a bunch of hoops, you have to pay upfront fees, and managing multiple clients becomes really messy because they don't give you like one dashboard for all your clients. You have to basically have individual accounts for each of your clients. It gets really messy. It's actually against the terms of service. So most agencies won't be willing to go through that effort. And so I did the hard part instead. I paid all the fees, I went through the vetting, and I became a preferred partner of theirs. Now members of Call Center Mastery can access First Orion through my partnership. They don't have to go through all the vetting, they don't have to go through all the setup, they don't have to go through all the approvals, they don't have to deal with like a messy account structure. They can have one account with all of their clients underneath it. And also they actually get a discounted rate by being under my partnership as well. So it's wins all round. And by the way, just as a little bonus for anyone watching this, I'll actually put my First Orion form down below. So even if you aren't in Call Center Mastery, just because you watch this video, you can actually benefit from my partnerships. If you're an agency and you want to brand your calls, I'll put the link down below and you can use that and basically save a bunch of money and make it way easier for yourself. And so anyway, when you stack all of this together, the internal software, the discounted third-party tools, the exclusive partnerships I've set up, it's less setup, it's less pain, it's less hassle. So leaving Call Center Mastery becomes very uncomfortable, right? Another good example of retention plays is with Gym Launch. Gyms would join their coaching, but then stay because every month Alex used to send all the gyms the best performing ads. So it saved the gym owners a bunch of money and time trying to find their own winners. But this isn't enough to keep everyone paying for longer, right? And that's why Gym Launch hired my white label call center to call all of their clients leads on their behalf, because they knew that a service like mine with a call center was very sticky and it would keep their clients on their membership for longer if they knew they got access to a service that did all of their lead follow-up for them. And just to drive it home that it's not always about results when it comes to retention. The funny thing, some Gym Launch clients actually got worse results with our call center, but they stayed anyway. Why? Well, because they got their evenings back. They got their weekends back. They didn't have to call leads anymore. That alone was worth staying around, even if results were worse. So if you're running an agency, ask yourself what you can add that's hard to replace. Maybe it's a call center so clients never have to call leads themselves, right? Maybe it's CRM access. So leaving means they lose access to their CRM, they lose access to their infrastructure. Maybe it's something to do with compliance, reputation management, or spam protection, or automation that removes something your clients hate doing. I actually saw a really great example recently with a roofing agency. So what they're doing is they were running ads, right? They were getting leads to come through for their roofing clients. And they built an AI system where the homeowner, once they become a lead, uploads a photo of their house, and the AI would generate a visual of what a new roof would look like on their house. And it's automatically sent via text message to them and gets the lead really excited because they now visualize what their new roof would look like, all done completely hands off. Unless another agency offers that exact system, the clients could be really reluctant to leave. Not because the ads are better, but because trying to figure out how to do that themselves would be painful. AI is a very complicated thing, how to get it so when the image comes into that Go High Level account, they're able to redo it with AI, put the new roof on it, and then send it back to the lead. That's really hard to figure out, right? And that's the real lesson here. When you build a business that saves people money, saves time, and removes friction from their life, retention stops being something that you're constantly chasing and it becomes very natural. It just happens naturally. And that's why retention forgives slow months, it forgives marketing mistakes, and things just going wrong. That's lesson number one. The second lesson I learned making over $1 million last year is all about cash flow, and it's usually explained the wrong way. People say things like, don't be afraid to spend money, but that's not really the lesson. The real lesson is cash gives you optionality. Cash gives you the ability to say yes when the right opportunity shows up. And I see founders mess this up in two opposite ways. Some people just spend everything they make. They make their first 10K per month and they start just buying stupid shit. They buy watches, they buy cars, whatever it is. They have no buffers, no reserves, no margin for error, and that's obviously just really stupid. But the other extreme is just as bad. These are the founders who are obsessed with watching their bank balance go up every month. They make decisions based on, does this keep my bank balance higher than last month? Instead of, does this increase my future earning power? And because of that, they miss opportunities that could completely change their business. And I actually had a real life example of this just the other day. Charlie Morgan, who runs a very successful info product, he offered to fully build out my ads, my funnels, my VSLs, script them all, edit them all, done for you ads, done for you funnel, done for you VSL, all that great stuff, right? They essentially build out the perfect base for my marketing with their team, who have spent millions of dollars in the same space as me, and they hand it all over to me, and then my team will run it, right? But at that exact same time, we had lost a bunch of money on ads the month before. So the safe move would have been, look, let's pause, let's save, let's start building our cash reserves first before we invest in something new like this, right? I actually said to Charlie at the time, I really want to build up my cash reserves a bit, but this is a no-brainer. And so I bought from him and took the more risky move because this wasn't just an expense, it's a way for me to make more money in the future. And so if you only invest when everything's perfect, you'll just invest too late. And that's why I've structured my personal expenses in a way where I don't have ridiculous bills to pay for each month, right? My mortgage is low, I pay for my car in cash, I don't have a lifestyle that forces me to protect my bank balance at all costs. And that's not accidental. And I've done that on purpose. So when opportunities come up, whether it's software partnerships, whether it's someone offering to build all my marketing for me for a really good price, right? I have the ability to move, because the worst feeling in business is seeing a great opportunity and not being able to take it because all your cash is tied up. Now, this doesn't mean spend recklessly, right? You still need reserves. Cash reserves are so important. They're essentially your insurance policy. If something breaks, if ads stop working, if churn spikes, if a platform changes overnight, your reserves are what keep you calm. So this isn't about blowing money. It's about holding cash with intention, not hoarding it, not burning it, but positioning it in a way where you can invest in the things that come along, invest in the opportunities that you need. And yes, sometimes you will invest in things that don't work, right? That's part of the game. I've spent money on things that went nowhere. Everyone who's ever tried to grow a business has done that. But I'd much rather make 10 smart bets than miss out on an opportunity that could have 50x my business because I was scared to see my balance dip. And especially if you're in a season of growth, when you're earning and learning at the same time, buying speed is almost always worth it, right? You save time, you avoid mistakes, you collapse years into months. And if you force yourself to grow only through your effort because you're emotionally attached to your bank balance, you'll move slower than you need to. So the real takeaway from this lesson is simple. Your goal isn't to have the biggest bank balance possible. Maybe in the future, that will be your goal, right? But right now, your goal should be to have enough cash so you can stay calm when things go wrong and invest when the right opportunity appears so you can move faster than people who can't do that. Cash is not the scoreboard. Cash is the tool. Use it correctly. That's lesson number 2. And now this third lesson is one of the biggest I took away from last year. And honestly, it might be the one that changed my business the most long term. And I've still got so much to learn in this area. I'm not an expert at this whatsoever. And I know I've got a ton more to learn about this, right? But this lesson is all to do with hiring the right people. For too long, my approach to hiring was very simple. I hired people who could do what I told them. I'd think through the system, I'd think through the process, and I'd give them the instructions to follow out. And then they would execute it. And for a while, that works. Especially when you're early, especially when cash is tight, especially when you're trying to keep risk low. But eventually that model breaks because even though you've hired good people, you're still the bottleneck. You've still got to do all the thinking. You've got to do all the problem solving. You're still holding everything in your head. And that's exhausting. For a long time, I avoided hiring people from Western countries. Not because I thought they weren't good, but it's because they felt expensive. I'd look at the salary they were asking for and I think, wow, that's a lot of money. What if the business has a bad month next month? And that fear kept me hiring at a lower level. And I got lucky with some of the people I hired like this, like really lucky. There are some people on my team, maybe watching this right now, who are absolutely incredible, who I've hired from, second world countries, third world countries. They do an incredible job. I got very, very lucky. And those team members don't cost me Western salaries, which is obviously great in the beginning. But eventually you hit a ceiling and you get to a point where you need to hire people who actually have more knowledge than you about certain things and can take things off your plate, right? And that's a completely different level of leverage. The big shift for me came when I started hiring people I could hand an idea to, not a checklist, not a step-by-step process, just an idea. And they would go ahead, figure it out. They'd make all the decisions. They'd connect all the dots. They'd solve problems I hadn't even seen yet. And the first time you experience that, it completely breaks your beliefs. You suddenly realize, oh, this is what it feels like to have like a real team that you can actually give things to, and they essentially are building the business without you, right? It's like the tasks they start doing aren't in the business tasks, but they're working on the business with you. And no, I'm not talking about hiring people for like $250,000 or $500,000 per year. I'm talking about spending just more than you're comfortable spending right now for people who give you back time, clarity, and they're able to scale the business faster with you. People who make your life easier instead of more complicated. And this is where lesson 1 connects back in, right? Because retention gives you confidence. When you know you've got money coming in every month, even if you sign 0 new clients, you stop making fear-based hiring decisions. You don't think, oh, how can I survive this hire? You think, is this person going to make the business move forward? Because the right hire doesn't just pay for themselves. They free you up to work on the higher leverage problems, things only you can do as the business owner. And I'm still really early in this process and I've got a lot to learn about hiring. But even now, I can't imagine running my business without my team. If I had to do everything myself again, it would be a complete mess. I'm already busy. I'm already spinning all these different plates and my team takes an enormous amount off my plate, which is why this lesson is so important to me. Hire even better people than you've got now. We've recently launched a white label voice agency called Team Follow Up AI, and some of the people we have brought in have absolutely blew me away. They didn't need hand-holding, they didn't need micromanaging, they just executed. If they weren't there, running that side of the business would be absolute chaos, and that's the clearest signal there is. If your business falls apart without you, you don't have a team, you have helpers. The mistake most founders make is waiting too long before they hire the better people. They wait until they feel 100% safe, they want to make sure they get a certain amount in their bank account, they wait until there's absolutely no risk. And that moment never really comes. You don't hire great people when it feels comfortable. You hire them when it feels slightly uncomfortable, but justified. Because great people will push the needle forward more than anything else you can invest in within your business. So the real lesson here is simple. Stop hiring only for labor and start hiring for leverage. Hire people who can think, hire people who can own problems, hire people who reduce your mental load. It will be expensive at first, don't get me wrong, but once you do it, you'll wonder how you ever ran the business without them. And don't worry, if your profit goes down next month because of it, this is a long-term play. And that's lesson number 3. So these are the 3 biggest lessons I learned from making $1 million last year. Retention forgives all, have cash ready for opportunities, hire better people. If you're building an agency or service business and you take these seriously, you will avoid a lot of pain, trust me. And if this helped you, make sure to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you on the next one.